Okay, we're here with Carl Bergen from RIM,
Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah, well,
Nice. Showing off some of the features of the native SDK for the PlayBook. Over here we have one sample out. I'll let you take from there.
Yeah, it's a 3D news wheel where you can just select news and it will show you wherever the news is happening on the globe here. And it's a fairly simple application, but it kind of shows the power that we want to bring to the developers.
And this is written, this SDK, straight up. Like,
yeah,
what does the code for this look like? How complex are we talking about to make something?
We're talking about something like 5-6 screens of code to do that, and that includes the UI markup as well. So it's
you can actually see the markup in the IDE on the screen here. So this is some of the markup that's driving the actual experience.
It is absolutely amazing. I've heard about this XML-based interface. I remember it started at other platforms, but it's supposedly a very powerful way to bring interactive graphics, immersive graphics to an interface without having to be an interface expert or a UI expert.
Yeah, it's really powerful, and I guess it's even more so now that we've tried to package it really neatly for developers. So it used to be a very raw technique, like you could misuse it very easily, but it's becoming more and more easy to use. So I'm really excited about where we're going with this.
Cool. When do you think such a thing will be actually in developers' hands that they should be able to develop things for it? All the apps you're creating now with this native SDK?
Well, we haven't really any fixed date or something like that to give you.
Not the release date, summer time frame. No, not the summer time frame. I'm saying is like, how long would it take to develop such an app?
Oh, right. Yeah. Well,
like, from when you release this, like, are we talking about it's going to take them 6 months to learn it, or
no.
Know how to develop for it? Or?
Given the documentation and the few examples that we're going to package up with this SDK, I guess we're talking like a few weeks to get a feel for how it works, and then just go ahead and code it.
I mean, the samples that you're looking at here are really, I mean, they're designed to be kind of micro samples, right? So, scrolling list that is being fed by data with like, a graphic pop-up, tied to the, the mesh of the 3D. I mean, we start to develop a few patterns, which then we put in developers' hands so they can take those samples and build on them. I don't know if you have the contacts as well.
Oh,
that's a great sample to look at.
Could you kind of show? He's like, how does this break down into something that looks like that? I see. Okay.
Well, if you can get the contacts running on here, you could start with just taking a quick look at what's available. But yeah, this is what Carl was saying. We have the markup which describes the user interface to the framework, to the engine. And then behind that, some light binding into code, so in the native code, or if you want to use script, you can use JavaScript, you can use Python, and you have the capabilities to kind of bind to whatever language you're working in.
So here's your average 2D contact list. It's a kind of a simple thing, but we've added a twist to it, so we connected it to the accelerometer. So when you twist it, it goes 3D on you, and you have a better view, and you can also see things like you see things further back that things is happening in the background here. Like you get a message from someone in the very back of the list, you can still see it even if you're in the very front. So it kind of gives another dimension to the user experience, and it's also something that's really easy to code with the Cascades engine. So yeah.
So with the Cascades engine, this is essentially just saying, okay, make it look like this, and these are the information we're feeding that engine or UI engine, and
it's highly customizable. Yet it's easy to use, and you don't have to really bother with all the technical details, and the performance is always kind of great out of the box because of the way that we built like pre-built blocks for you that kind of enables you to use very like hardcore techniques without really understanding what you're doing. It's kind of
that's what's baked into the engine and then baked into the framework. So as a developer, you access it through the XML code, and then with the bindings to language of your choice in the native.
What do you mean language of your choice?
So I mean you can work in native if you'd rather work with script. We have the object model could be accessible. You could use the JavaScript.
There's a hook into it for a JavaScript engine?
You could write. Well, it's generic, right? You can hook into it using whatever you want.
So it's an extension of the native SDK.
It's an extension of the native SDK. That's
okay, that's making makes more sense. Right. I was curious as to like maybe an API of the native SDK. Okay.
No, I mean I think we will. What we're trying to do, part of what we're trying to do and evolve this over the next number of months is decide on what are the kind of bindings that we will provide kind of out of the box as templates or as samples to help developers.
Are you going to control the experience in any way to make it uniform across devices? I've seen that some things like, okay, pull down for a menu, there's also pull down.
I think
like the different menu interactions, like people get used to, okay, if I do this, I get such. I get a pop-up menu, most pop-ups look like this.
What I would say is PlayBook's pretty open right now in terms of design paradigm that's being pushed. We certainly have design guidelines, but we're not enforcing them in any way. So what we're looking at doing is taking some of what TAT offers. So it's like, it can be small things, it can be big things, and baking them into key control. So a list control that provides fluid scrolling and simple 3D animation could be something that we use as a pattern in our apps and then make it available for developers. So we think about basic button behavior or basic list behavior or basic a basic animation for doing a loading or a progress bar.
Or a back button.
Or a back button, right.
Like, so people know, okay, the back button's going to be there.
Exactly. So this is the vision we have, and what we're working to develop with this technology is a way that we make it consistent and we put it in the hands.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it would be a very powerful way for you to give people a visually appealing UI elements that they can use. Okay, so that's the angle where it's going with this. Are there any other demo applications you guys have to show?
Those are the two, I think, most complete and compelling one. There's one where you pull a guy's beard and he says,
oh, that sounds hilarious.
So
yeah, like
may not show as well.
A few of the other apps, so they are more like
and that's using the same interface?
Yeah, it's all the same engine.
How does such a thing look? That's what I'm trying to understand. So like, I see the XML-based interface, so I'm trying to think, how do you make a guy who pull his beard work?
it's just you use animations.
It's not data you're offering.
No,
to
it's
the program.
Like you use images and you use animations and you can move things around. It's kind of it's very simple actually if you think about it. Like if you want to have a guy that you could pull the beard on, you need a guy and you need a beard. And that's the two images you need, right? And you can just animate it. So
but it's the animation. It's the math behind the animation.
That's usually the hardest part in the engine that you end up using from somebody else.
That's the stuff that is embedded in the framework. So instead of actually coding the math to like manipulate and move it, or to
XY coordinates,
to make these adjustments so that you see it come out at you. The framework provides the planes and the surfaces, and you just drop things on the surfaces, and then describe what happens when you get accelerometer events. Right?
Super cool.
So I think we're still thinking about just exactly what the developer experience will be like, and how much you'll need to understand the markup versus provide an.
And this native SDK is an Eclipse-based SDK. What kind of?
It's based on Momentic, so
that's the QNX
environments, and so we'll provide plugins and extensions to that for
developers will more or less be familiar with using such an environment.
Absolutely, anybody familiar with Eclipse, it'll be natural to them. So, and I don't know if you talked to Joel, but I mean the applications that he's built over here in terms of porting Quake also are using the native SDK. So
very cool.
It's pretty standard.
I'll wrap up over here. We have Chris and Carl from RIM showing us off the native SDK. Thanks, guys.